So, in one of our previous sittings and talk, you were talking about work anywhere, share with anyone. Can you just tell us what that means?
Yes. So as I talk about the mind shift, the mindset shift of today's generation, and as you look at new buildings coming up, environments coming up, and what's happening through online media, this next generation is able to do a lot of things on their own, work anywhere, and they prefer that. They work anywhere, they like to share with each other. My generation was a lot more compartmentalized and even secretive in many ways. We didn't want to share our intellectual property. But today, when you look at Google, when you look at all the websites, when you look at Wikipedia, it's a whole thing of sharing. And while sharing has its pitfall, it's a very different mind that is coming in to build something new, to discover things. And that is a significant shift. Are we as educators prepared for that mindset of students? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. How can we keep things really interesting and give them some charge?
So we're right now in a world, maybe there's too much of these things also, sir. So for a student, or rather for a teacher, what should the teacher do? Should the teacher still encourage the student saying, yes, go ahead, the world is full of knowledge, you can get your knowledge through a blog through YouTube and Wikipedia, and however, or uh, is there a method to it? Is it too much of everything that's happening, and what's the role of a teacher then?
So, my personal philosophy is everybody doesn't need to know everything. The rote way of learning, where we're making them kind of study something, remember your tables, remember all these things. If I know how to get something at the right time, if I know that pathway, then that's, in my opinion, that's the future. Because so there's breadth over there, perhaps not depth in many things, but depth you can do by getting into depth and as needed. And there are other people who may be in depth. How do you collaborate? So collaboration is a very big uh, to break that thing. So those are pieces that are there. Also, opening up your horizon. We have an exercise over here that we do is the first year of engineering. We send all the students into the forest and to come back with some kind of a living, observing some living thing, whether it's an insect, whether it's an animal, whatever they come across, bird, take pictures and come back. Then they study the motion of it. And through that motion, they're able to then get into linkages, the physics, all those pieces that kind of grow the story. Those are the kinds of pieces that help that teacher kind of engage people and then the conversation. So shifting them, changing the venue makes a big difference.
All right. So there is a lot of information, but then like what you're saying is a teacher need not know everything, and if the teacher at any given point of time or the educator at any point of time does not know a certain subject or a certain uh, 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 a certain chapter or a lesson, it's okay to say no.
It is, and also getting them to participate in discovering it. And the students need to know that, things are changing so frequently. Everybody cannot keep up with everything, including the teacher.
Right.
But if it's a common problem that everybody takes ownership rather than the students sitting over there, teacher, tell me what to do. Well, let's try to find it, discover ourselves also, work together. That's the
Together.
The teacher should be a catalyst to keep their enthusiasm going and working together with them to solve a problem and bring out the creativity of each student.
So you also have spoken about imitation versus innovation. Could you just throw some light on that, please?
Yes. So we learn from each other. When, let's say, you do something and I will try to replicate that. That is the baseline common imitation that is there in all of us. And just because you have done something, it doesn't mean that I am, copying that. I'm just learning because I'm with you. That's the collaboration. And there is imitation in there. Now let's take it one step further. All of us, in some way or the other, are imitating something or the other at all times. Kids learn from their parents. They try to emulate that. Students learn from teachers. So as we are there, how do you take that notion and make that better through innovation? So you are then looking at something and refining it for the purpose that you need to. So that piece, imitation, should not be just taken as a word of copying, while the negative side is taking, not regarding and respecting intellectual property of somebody who's done that. So therefore, if I've learned something from you, then I'll say, Vinod was doing this. I thought that was a great idea. I have taken Vinod's idea. Now I've made something else over here. And let's take a look at it. Let's let Vinod also look at it, that he inspired something. So creative inspiration, imitation, innovation, new ideas. Those are the few things that are part of creative thinking that's there.
So would you say, sir, then these are stages of learning where you say what we usually term as a very bad kind of a word, saying copying, but actually it's imitation. Somebody somewhere imitated to get a start off.
And inspired.
Let's say, or inspired. So it had to have somebody to build the wheel, then another person built another wheel, and then somebody put a box, and then we got a car.
Exactly. You're
so
right.
Isn't this a stage? Isn't this like a stage where, A did something, B did something, and you came and added another thing to it, and then that's how innovation happened. Would that kind of summarize, or?
Yeah, you're right.
Does that make sense?
That's innate. That everybody has that. And that's how we learn. In a system, in a world of system where everything coexists, how do we solve problems? Mm-hmm. Creative problem solving. That's where the terminology comes from.
All right. Also, you were mentioning, sir, a teacher is a catalyst, is an enabler. But you also said one needs to be a thinker first. Why did you say that, sir?
Because if you cannot have some independent thinking, you will be you'll be short-sighted. But if you can think for yourself and look at the cause, unintentional, ramifications that can happen, then as a thinker, you're able to look at the big picture and then come up with ideas. But if you're in just a bubble and trying to solve a problem and not looking at the big picture, not thinking, you're just looking at the big picture in terms of its outward ramification for the planet. We've made a lot of mistakes on the planet today, and we are suffering for that, pollution, everything. So that kind of thinker in society is very important. And I think Agastya is trying to do that through all the different exercises and applications.
Okay. So what should a teacher be called? A teacher is a teacher. Should we call the teacher a catalyst? Should we call a teacher an enablerist? What do we call the teacher? If we're saying this is the new way of teaching for the new world, and the world that we perhaps don't know how it's going to shape up, do we still keep calling them teacher, or is it something else?
So I don't have a proper name for it, but I can tell you this much, that the value-added advantage that Agastya brings to the table, those people are catalysts. They're inspirers. They are people who facilitate. They are people who are the steward or the shepherd, kind of putting these things together. The classroom teacher is still called a teacher, and teacher also has a connotation that they know everything. There's a hierarchy out there. But I think Agastya is at a very advantageous position to build on the creative inspirer, the catalyst.
Saying should we be calling him guru or teacher, which I think kind of held itself really well, lent itself well in the old school way of thinking. And I think you were suggesting, sir, that we're educating people, so we're just calling them educators in whichever form.
I mean, to your question, I was thinking about it. To your question, I think we are creative catalysts. catalysts who are trying to
Oh
bring out
wow.
creativity. So that kind of
And
comes
doesn't matter what the subject is.
correct. How can you bring creativity in the most mundane subject and demonstrate the applications and the ramifications?
All right. Okay. Well, I think we need to do a part two, sir. This is too short. But
Yeah.
thank you for spending your precious time with us. I know you're a very busy person, and I'm so glad, and I'm very lucky to have met you through this program. And here's to more. Thanks for spending your time with us, and we surely are going to come back with a lot more questions to you, sir. And once again, thank you. And uh, any parting words?
No, I'm really excited in terms of what the students, the IMTs, the teachers are doing. This creative,
Mhm.
becoming the creative catalyst for the world is so much more needed because we cannot change people's habits of teaching, but we can
Right.
do is add another layer that can take that and for the student to put the two things together. So
All right.
I think it's something I'm very excited about in terms of what's happening.
All right. Thank you, sir. And this is not the last of it. Like I said, we're going to come back to you again. But
Perfect.
thanks for doing this.